All right. Well, welcome to the SportsTalk with Duey podcast. This is season two, episode two. We have a really special guest today, 2022-23 first team All ACC, one of the best Pitt basketball players in recent history, helped us reach our first March Madness in 7 years. I'm a diehard Knicks fan and a diehard Pitt basketball fan. The Knicks' best player is Jalen Brunson, but I'll never call him JB because JB is reserved to that guy right there, the man, the myth, the legend, Jamarius Burton. What have you been mostly up to since your last season at Pitt?
Yeah, so for me, since I left Pitt, I was granted the opportunity to play professionally overseas for a little while. So I went to Belgium first, spent some time there, played for the Kortrijk Spurs. It was their first year in the B Next League, and they were just getting established, and it was a really nice experience to be able to go there for my first stop. And then from there, I went to Hungary and played for I would say five months, and then I tore my ACL. So I'm back home in the States, just getting acclimated, pouring into community, working out with kids, and that's just where I'm at.
So, yeah, what's your current stats regarding your injuries and playing overseas? And I was looking at your stats. It seemed like you were cooking like normal JB, 19 points a game, 5 and 5, 57% from the field, 42% from three. So, yeah, what's your current stats regarding those injuries and playing overseas?
Yeah, I would say for me, I'm rehabbing pretty well. But for me, everything is contingent upon my health. So I'll return back to playing when I'm 100%. That's just my mindset. I'm not going to put a date out there. I'm just going to continue to lock in on my 24 hours and what I can do on a day to day basis. And once I stack enough days and I get to good health, I'm definitely gonna try to get back out there.
That's awesome. We need to see you back on the hardwood in any capacity. So how is it like playing overseas? Is it beautiful out there? Is it how different is it from playing in the States?
Yeah, playing overseas is a completely different experience. You go from like it seems like you're one of few in a community. Like it was really crazy. Like it was only maybe four Americans like on my team. So like you really connect with those guys, and I would just say like it's a complete experience. Like you get to learn a different culture. Like there's a different language. Like there's so many different like nuances to being overseas, like even the living conditions. And some things like are pros and cons. Can appreciate the way that they live and also appreciate the way that you have it over here in the States. So I feel like I've grown a lot from those experiences. From a basketball standpoint, it's a lot different. Like the physicality is definitely there. I would say the team concept and the schemes are different. Like, and also like the roster construction is different. Like I said, it's only four Americans. So like depending on your league is going to depend upon how many foreigner players that you can have.
Right.
A lot of that play a role into roster construction, and it plays a role in like your overall role on a team. Like you can come from the States from the college and maybe average 10 points, 8 points, whatever the case may be. And now this team is looking for you to be our go-to guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it be that type of situation. So like there are pros and cons to being over there. I love exploring and seeing the world and being able to experience things that I never thought or could imagine. Like if you would say like in my first year or two playing professionally, I could go and see certain places and be able to explore on an off day in places I never been. Like it was just an amazing experience, and I'm forever grateful.
That's why they call you Worldwide J, right?
I was that before I was worldwide. So I had that I was able to live and experience that, to be able to say, hey, it's not just an Instagram name. I actually had the experience of living in different countries, and it was just amazing experience.
That's great. So let's talk about recent. I was so hyped up to see you back at Pitt, like watching Pitt again. I think you saw them at NC State, right?
Yeah, I went to see him at NC State. It was not too long after I had got back from overseas, and I had my surgery not too long before that. So I still was on walking sticks. So it was just fun being around the guys, watching the game from a different perspective.
Yeah.
A lot of times I was on the floor, and this felt like a whole different experience being in the audience and watching it and seeing the coaches interact with the players. And, I just loved that. And it was a great experience. I was glad that I was able to go. It lifted my spirits at the time, dealing with my knee and coming back from that. So it just was great to be able to see them back home. I didn't have to go too far.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about the ACC. So many teams around this North Carolina, this coast here, that it grants me the opportunity that now that I'm not playing there, I can still see them.
Do you still keep in touch with your past teammates and the coaching staff and maybe some of the current guys as well?
Yeah, see, that's the beautiful thing about that team. Like, it was so special to where, like, the relationships I feel like are forever. So I do communicate with the coaches and some of my teammates during that time period. And sometimes it's not on a weekly basis, but that connection is still there to where when you reach out, y'all are brothers. You can speak like y'all just seen each other yesterday, and that's what it's all about. And that's the type of culture that they have.
Yep, that team was special, and the culture the Capels have built is really special, and I hope we could turn it around next season. So yeah, let's go back to your high school days. I don't think a lot of people talk about your experience like before Pitt, and I've always wondered a little bit. I mean, look, so you played at Independence High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. You were born in Champaign, Illinois. I looked it up. 47 ranked you as the 406th best player in the class of 2018. You did have an ACL injury in high school. How much did that injury affect your high school career, your recruiting, and does this past injury still affect you today?
Yeah, I would say that ACL injury I suffered definitely affected me when it came to recruiting. Like, I was playing for Team Loaded CU and I was really building traction and I was starting to get like high major notice and starting to build up my offers. Like, I had like seven at the time. So when I tore my ACL, it was really big because like I didn't hear from a lot of those schools anymore. And another thing is like coaches changed. So let's say I got an offer uh my sophomore year from East Carolina. By the time it's my senior year and I'm ready to go, it could be a whole different coach there. So that offer no longer stands. So that happened to me quite a bit. But one thing that I knew was what would help me was winning.
Yep.
And I went to Independence with that in mind. Before I tore my ACL, like I went to Independence with in mind that I was going to win a state championship. So before I tore my ACL and I came back, the expectations were the same. So for me, I just knew like if we won, that will open up my recruitment again. We went 31-1 and we won the state title. And I was able to get interest during that time from like Wichita State, Butler,
Huh.
and then the rest was kind of like mid-major schools like UMass, George Mason, can't remember. Because it was so many schools before the injury and after the injury that it's kind of that the school is kind of intertwined. Like it's kind of fuzzy for me mentally. I would say like I knew that winning would bring colleges out to see, you know, who is contributing to winning.
Yeah.
And knew that would be my path to get into college and to be able to play. So that was really my mindset. That team I was on was kind of similar to Pitt, and it was special. Like that team hadn't won a state title in like 20 something years. They won a state title when my coach was playing.
Wow.
So it was kind of like God ordained. Like I had foreseen it that it was gonna happen. I got there, the coach like accepted me, he pushed me and like it happened. And from that point on, like I kind of took that experience with me to college. And then I went to Wichita State because like when I looked at my recruitment, I was looking at the best coach and skill development. And at the time, I really liked the underdog like mentality at Wichita State. I liked the Fred Van Vliet, the
Yep.
Landry Emmett, the Ron Baker.
Yep.
Like I love their stories, and like I got to speak to some of them on the phone, like briefly during the recruitment process, and ask them whatever I wanted to ask them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I had that experience, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm sold. Like I got I asked them about these guys. They gave me their number. I was able to call Landry Shamit. Like I was able to call these people who were successful at this program. So it made me want to go. And when I went there, it was uh, a completely different experience. Nothing like high school. a huge like work ethic level. Like it just everything takes a step up. But that coach that I had, man, he really broke the game down to me and my teammates. Like it was 7 or 8 freshmen that was in my class. So
Wow.
that was a good thing too. Like I was my first year in, I was surrounded by a lot of my peers. Like, same people in the dorm room. Like it's a good group of us. So like that contributed to my college success as well and my comfortability out there on the floor my freshman year.
Wichita State actually beat Pitt in March Madness in 2013. Greg Marshall was the coach, and that was Van Vliet, Ron Baker. They actually end up going to the Final Four, so it's kind of funny how that works
know
out.
that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So your sophomore season, you had a great season, 2019-20, the season it got COVID got canceled the tournament. You averaged 10 points a game on 38% from three. You're known for your defense. Would that team have made the
Yeah, I
NCAA
believe
tournament if
so.
it
Like
was not canceled?
that team was one of the most like stacked teams that I had ever been on. Like it was a well coached team. We had depth and we had hunger. Like a lot of our team was being led by sophomores. Like you know what I mean? Like we had a lot of hunger, and I feel like our resume matched that.
Yeah.
Like we had enough wins, and I think they were saying at the time like all we needed to do was win a tournament game. Kind of similar to like when like the conference tournament, kind of similar to at Pitt when we were doing psychology, and it was like
Right.
winning a game in the ACC tournament would help us. And I felt like if we had that opportunity, it would have done the same thing for us.
Yep. Um, so yeah, after that great season, you ended up entering the transfer portal. What caused you to
Honestly,
enter after
prior
that
to
season?
me ever going there, I always wanted to play at a high major. So like when the opportunity like came up for me to do that, I wanted to take advantage of that. And that's why I tried to make a move up and go play in the Big 12 and go to Texas Tech was for that reason. Like I wanted to take it up a notch. I wanted to be challenged at a higher level, and I wanted to take advantage of a Power Five like training, training facilities, nutritionists, like all of these other factors that a higher major school will have that a mid major or low major school won't have. And that was my mindset. Like if I want to be the best, I need to get to a place where I can have access to those resources.
I mean, you chose like two of the hardest coaches. Like Greg Marshall and Chris Beard are known for like being really old school, hard nosed coaches. So how was it like? Were they pretty similar
I don't
coaches, and
think
how
they
was it
are
playing
like
for both of them?
they're very similar with their passion and wanting to win. They're very similar in terms of like their passion and them wanting to win. But I think like there are so many things that make them different. You know, there's some things that like from a
Hmm.
scouting standpoint, from an attention to detail standpoint, that one coach might look at this and one coach might look at this. One coach might like one tactic that I learned that or that Chris Beard is not afraid to use is like a hack a shack type of if the guy shoots finish, he's not afraid to use that tactic. Well, when I was at Wichita State, that tactic had never came up. We never even thought about that. You know what I mean? So just to highlight one thing, like there's so many
Yeah.
nuances that make both of them different coaches. However, their passion to win, I would say, is still there. Like they're both fiery individuals who want to win. So that's one of the main reasons why I chose them as coaches because I have a passion to win, and I know they do.
So that Texas Tech team you were on, it was pretty stacked. I remember watching that team when you guys had like Mac McClung and I mean, I remember you at Wichita State. You were one of the you were a pretty big transfer because I heard you're like one of the best two-way players in the country. And I remember you going to Texas Tech, and that team was stacked. You did not play as many minutes as you usually would on other teams. Like how tough it was for you to play in a deep team and to find minutes because Chris
Yeah, I
Beard
would
is
say
known for
that was
playing a
like
lot of
one of the
guys.
biggest adjustments for me. Like, but I feel like it taught me so much. Like, I may not have produced and played the minutes that I wanted to produce or play, but I was a sponge during that time, and I really just all the things that I learned there. And when you play sparse minutes or you play, um, different roles, it makes you develop different skills and different temperaments and like how to relate and communicate with others. And I was able to use all all of those skills at Pitt. So I really like my choice of going there, and I see why.
So, was the lack of playing time a reason you entered the portal
No, for
again
me,
after that
Chris Beard
season?
went to Texas. I wanted to get
Oh,
back closer to
right,
home.
right.
The college I picked was 12 plus hours away. Texas Tech was 20. Wichita State was at least like 17 or 12, or like at 12 to 17 mark. So
Wow.
when you play that far away from home, like for me, my parents came, but it was a few times. You know what I mean? Not on the. I could see you at NC State. I could see
Right.
you at North Carolina. I could see you at Wake Forest. I could see you at Clemson. Like those are factors like that go into like where you decide to go as a student athlete.
Yeah, it's so the Cape and the staff, they keep their recruiting extremely quiet. Like no one had any idea we were even recruiting you. So besides Pitt, was any schools recruiting you really hard and like was Pitt like the place you really wanted to go to? What it
Honestly,
made Pitt stand out to you?
after that year at Texas Tech, Pitt was the only high major school that wanted. So it was like
Wow.
I either go here or I go down, and going down was not an option. So I said, "Hey, I'm going to come to Pitt as long as I have an apartment. I'm going to come. I believe I'm coming here for a reason." And I just started manifesting. It's going to work out. It's going to be successful. I'm going here for a reason. God sent me here for a reason. Like I just started like manifesting it, and it happened.
Did so the Capels are known for being from North Carolina. Did that connection
I would
was
say
that a factor as well going to
the
Pitt?
fact that Coach Capel played my position, played basketball, and played in the ACC was the main contributing factor. You add that with this is the only school that wants me, that believes in me. They won. He accepted me, and he wanted me to communicate with him about any and everything. And our relationship just was built from there.
Thank God no one was recruiting you that hard, and that is insane. So yeah, going into your first season, what were your expectations for that team? The
Well, I
2020
felt like that team had a good team. Like I feel like the team we had a pretty good amount of players. Like I feel like we were supposed to be more successful than we were. We had a lot of depth at the big position. We had more fives. We had more fours that were extremely athletic, like athletic. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of that team success, or I would say downfall, like the reason why we weren't as successful, it really was just like the camaraderie amongst the group. Like a lot of it is about chemistry, and that team just didn't have the right chemistry.
Yeah, I did thought before the season you guys could be pretty good. It just a lot of injuries, a lot of off the court things. The fans were pretty upset.
It was
How
really
tough
tough.
was
That
that
was
season?
like the first time I ever lost to that capacity. Like ever lost to that capacity. Maybe in like the YMCA league when I was one, I cry after every game during that time because there was so much losing. And that's how I felt like that first year. But like I still got to grow my wings while flying. Like I still got to work on my game, got to do a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Successful the following year because of like that experience.
I did thought you played pretty well that season. It was a kind of a messy season. The one I've always wanted to talk to you about this. It was the mask game. You had to wear a
Yeah,
mask against Louisville. How annoying was it for you to play a game with a mask on? And like, did anyone tell you to put it on because you really
I
weren't
think
wearing
I had
it?
COVID and I did the wait period, whatever, and then I got on a plane and flew there that day and played. But they said I had to wear a mask. So I wore the mask, kind of played really well to just get on a plane and show up that day. And like, I did really good. We fell short. Yeah, I guess you could say that was my COVID game.
Yeah,
That was different, though.
that
Yeah,
was
that was different.
insane. So after that tough season, what intrigued you to stay? And did you have any
No,
thoughts
I
of
had no
transferring
thoughts. I really
again?
liked the staff, but also like I don't know. I felt like the confidence they gave me, like if we just had the right pieces that, were genuine people that wanted to win and wanted to win at all costs, that we could be successful. So I really like Pittsburgh, like holistically. It's hard for me to say, hey, I'm going to leave and give my last year up to chance. It just didn't make sense for me.
So, yeah, Coach Capel and the staff, they did get the right pieces. They retained you and Nike. And obviously, John didn't work out, but he was still a big piece. They hit the transfer portal hard, obviously, with Blake, Nelly, Greg, Fetty. What was the time when like, you knew this team was going to be different?
I would say it started in the summer. And it really had nothing to do, like, from a basketball standpoint. I feel like a lot of times when you build rosters, like, the personalities have to mesh. And I knew from the summertime after talking to some of the players and getting to understand them on a personal level and, what drove them. And also like the communication was there from a basketball standpoint, like this is how I like to play when I'm doing this, look for me here, like all of that was present in the summer. So like I knew that with that being, at the forefront, all the skills and schematical things would fall into place.
So, yeah, that season was a really tough start. I think you guys started 1-3. Did you have any thoughts? I was like, oh no, it's gonna be a bad season again like last year. And what kind of
Well,
sparked
no,
you
I
guys
didn't
to
think
turn it
that just
around?
because of the personalities, but a lot of it has to do with like players getting acclimated. Like I was the only player I think that played that was on the team prior the following year. So like
Yeah.
everybody else was new. Some players came from a mid major that came to a higher major. Some came from this role to now they're in this role here for us. So I just knew it needed we needed more time and to like be discouraged.
Yeah. Yeah. So that season was just full of moments that we'll all remember forever. And well, the first season, the bad season, you still had that amazing game winner in the Garden against St. John's. So out of all these moments, what was your favorite from the St. John's game winner, your 31-point game against UNC, the comeback win against UVA, the heroic late comeback against Miami? I've never heard arena that loud in my life. Fish bucket against Cuse, your game winner against Mississippi State, and then the dominating win against Iowa State, holding them to 41 points. I know I listed a lot because that season was full of them. What was your favorite memory? What was your favorite
It's hard
moment
to
at
really
Pitt?
say. I'm just gonna pick the one that came to the top of my head, and that would be the road game at UNC. And that's because
Oh my God.
the emotion that was out there on the floor was at an all time high. You can feel that they didn't want us to win, but you could feel that we was coming to play. Um, Even when I watch the highlights today, and if I watch the highlights today, and it's when Nelly hits those three threes in a row, it gives me chills. It was that moment that it it's always at the forefront, like that comeback, like us being resilient, being road tough. Um, and also like I won my state championship there. So like just the history in that historical arena, not too far away from home, is just something that's just like at the top.
And you hit those late foul
Yeah,
shots
yeah,
to
yeah,
seal it
yeah.
as
I
well.
wish it would have been like a jumper. I wish he didn't foul me, but I'm glad I had the discipline and I trusted my work. Coach Brown, Milan Brown used to say that all the time, trust the work. And like that's the defining moment right there where like when you trust your work, it pays off. And that's what that was right there.
Yeah, I remember I was at night class that night. I ran home and like caught the last like 5 minutes. And like when Nike blocked that ball, I just kind of just threw everything around in my apartment. I was just like so excited. I was like, this is like we're gonna
Yeah,
we're gonna
no, and
get to
that's
the
when I
dance.
knew
This
we
is
were gonna get
incredible.
the dance. Like I felt confident that like we're gonna make it to the dance. Even though we played a lot more games after that, like I just knew like we're gonna do it.
So I kind of want to talk about a lot of those special moments that season. Well, we'll start off with the season before the game winner against St. John's. That was, even though it was a tough season, that was incredible. That shot in that environment. What was the exact, if you remember, what was the exact play call Who are you
honestly,
in that
like
St. John's
I can
game?
remember what Coach Brown said, and that was that somebody was gonna make a shot, and I just remember going out there, and the ball was in my hands, and I got to get downhill and get to my left, and when they switched and I seen the big guarding me, I knew I had to like give him a fake because 6'8", 6'9". Got to give him a fake. And when I was
Mhm.
able to throw him off a little bit and just rise up and shoot it, it felt good. And that was a big moment too because that was like my first ever game winner. Like I had made clutch shots at Wichita State, but like I never made a game winner like that. So like that was big for my confidence.
Well, you made a few others in the future. Oh my God, that was awesome because I think you guys were like 5-7, and you guys were, St. John's was kind of projected to make the tournament that year. So at the time, it was a huge underdog win, and I was super excited. I remember it was around pretty close to, what was it? I think it was close to Christmas time, and I think it was a really good win. The next one I want to talk about is the 31-point game against UNC. Both you guys, both teams wearing their blues. What did you eat for breakfast that morning? They
You know
just
what?
could
I
not
don't even
stop you that
remember
day.
what I ate for breakfast. Probably some Gussies. I think it was something like that. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
man, I don't know. I got in the zone. Like, that zone that they talk about. Like, that's what I got in. Like, it was nothing special that I did before or anything. I just was out there in the zone. Like, I was shooting or scoring really efficiently. I feel like that was one of the games where like fully let the game come to me and I was dominant. Like, like I didn't like force anything. Like I was really controlled. It was a big time game at the right moment because we needed that win at home.
Yeah, you guys did, and that kind of put you on the map. But then I think it was next week, and then you guys beat number 11 UVA. You were down like 11 in the first half, and I mean that people don't talk about that game enough. The energy in that second half was insane. Like I've never seen a human jump higher than Nike did on that
Yeah,
dunk.
no, no,
It
no.
was
That
insane.
dunk that Nike had was insane. And the thing is to see him do that after an ACL injury is just it warms my heart. Battle through that and then to have a moment like that,
Yeah.
that just speaks to his work and his character. That was amazing. And that game, like, was a big game. Like, I remember being in the locker room, jumping up and down with the water and stuff after that game. Cause I feel like that game was more like impactful than the UNC game, only because like I felt like we had beaten UNC the year before, but we didn't beat UVA before. So I never had beaten UVA before. So I felt like I didn't have that experience. And like I said, I was the only person in the locker room that ever played in the ACC at the time. So like I feel like me having that 1 year experience, I was able to like have experience and kind of know like what we were about to go against. But with that team, I hadn't quite beaten them. So I feel like that was big too, like to get that win under my belt and also like for us to beat the 11th ranked team at the time after beating, I think UNC was like ranked top 25 at the time. Right. So to go two
They were
back
number
to back
25,
ranked
I remember.
games, it was big for us. Yes.
Tony Bennett's teams, they're tough to play against because they like run down the shot clock. They double everyone in the paint. So replicating two top 25 wins, that kind of puts in the map, and people are like, okay, Pitt basketball, we're back and we can make the dance. So those two wins were just ginormous. I don't think
Yeah,
people
no,
talk about
100%. And
those
that's the
two
thing. Like
enough.
UVA, they're highly respected for their defense and the way that they play. So to be able to get a win against that defense was big for us, and I think that also helped us with our confidence too. Like when you can win a good game against a top rated defensive team, all of those type of things like are confidence builders. All of those wins are confidence builders.
For sure. And the next one we'll talk about, everyone still talks about to this day. You guys are down like 68-60 with 2 minutes left against Miami. Like, what caused you guys to just like, it's kind of what the Pacers are doing right now. Like, that game, like, did you guys have that confidence? Like, did you know you were going to win the game the whole time? Like, what
Yeah,
sparked you guys that was
it
heroic
seems like so long ago, but it really wasn't. But I do remember like just the fight. Like the thing about us is like we broke the game down to 4 minutes. You know what I mean? So like when you only focus on 4 minutes at a time and you put your effort into winning that 4 minutes, like anything can happen. And we got to a segment in the game where we all was able to lock in and win those segments of those last few rounds. And again, that was a big confidence booster for us. That was a pretty big win too.
Needed that one. They were number 24. So I remember so Fetty he made a layup, but he got fouled. He
Mhm,
missed a foul shot. Blake made a three, of course. Nelly like a
mhm,
he made like a step back shot in the paint, and then it was 68-67. Like, did you know like Isaiah Wong, like he fumbled the
mhm.
ball, and you stole it. Like, did you have a read on that play, like
No,
what
I
he was
don't.
gonna do or
Honestly, I really
anything?
think
Or
he like might have lost it or something because it. I didn't do nothing special. Like I was standing in the passing lane, and it's like the ball came to me. Now the one where I really had to work was was the strip at the end. But that bounce pass that he
yes.
tried to make, I didn't do nothing special on that play. But it was the play after that where I had to get a stop at the end, and I stripped it from him. That was really big
Yes.
because like we we needed that. And a few plays prior to that, I think he had hit me with like a step back or something like that. And I remember like Greg coming to my ear and get it on me. So after that, like after that, like that's what kind of sparked like that was that defensive effort. Like you could see the grit was there. Like everybody was holding each other accountable. Everybody was pushing each other in those last minutes. Like, no, this is important. We need this win, and we was able to come out on top.
Yeah. Are you upset you missed that layup? I'm
I
happy
probably was
Blake was
upset
behind you.
at the time, but I'm glad Blake tipped it in. Like it took more time off the clock. If you go back and look at the highlights, you look back. Coach JC was jumping. He jumped, and then like when I missed it, he's like, "Oh!" And then when Blake tipped it in again, he started jumping again. But it was really funny. Like when I look back at it, that was really a great moment. It was almost like a movie, man. It was almost like a movie. Like it was almost like a movie.
Got chills right now. Like, there was such a ringing pitch after Blake tipped that in. I've never heard a
Yeah, that was
sound
the
like
loudest I
that
heard the
before. Like,
P
I have
other than
chills.
it was that game and then it was the Syracuse, the last game of like the last home game.
Yep.
Those were the top two games where the P was at its peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Fish's bucket a little bit. I mean, it was a
Mhm.
very high scoring game, a lot of three pointers. You guys were up around 10 the whole game. And did any of you guys ever think about, Fish maybe coming at the end of the
No, I
game and get a
never
bucket on his senior
even
day?
thought or could imagine like that would have happened. Like usually like when a walk on gets on, like gets in the game, you encourage them to shoot and try to score. Like so the fact that he went out there and did what we
Yes.
all know he could do was special because like Fish, that wasn't the first time he ever did that, you know? It's that was the time his work was able to be shown. But behind the scenes, he was a guy working. He was a guy getting up extra shots, making sure he was available not only to us as teammates, but also for himself. So when those moments came, he could show up and show out.
So let's move to the NCAA tournament. That Dayton game was
Mhm.
probably one of my favorite sporting events I've ever been to. So I think Blake hits that logo three. I think we're up around like 8 points and they storm back. They take the lead. I think we were down by one. What was the play call and that moment as well when you hit that like
Yeah. Well,
floater
I don't
slash
think there was a
jumper
play
near the
call
paint?
per se. I just knew like we needed a basket, and we had already had got a shot up the last possession before, and they had taken the lead. So I really just got the matchup I wanted and created the angle that I needed. Like, and once I created the angle, the guy that was switched out on me is like 6'11". So for me, it was all about like creating an angle, driving, either giving him a fake or bumping him to knock him off balance. And once I was able to, drive to my left and create the angle, I knew the shot was going in. Like I felt really good about the shot, which is why I celebrated like that. But also it was a lot of passion that went into that shot too, because I was in foul trouble, so I didn't play like my normal minutes. So I was sitting over there on the side,
Right.
and like this is win or go home. But I was just sitting over
Yeah.
there, like, just waiting on my moment. I was in constant prayer because, like, I was like, "There's no way." Like, those inner thoughts was like, "There's no way you're gonna come this far, and you're gonna go out like this." So those thoughts were trying to, come into my head. But also, I just was like, "No, I'm not gonna listen to that. I'm gonna stay right mentally." And that's where I just kept like honing in on like, no, God didn't bring me this far to forsake me. Like it was just that inner dialogue. And then in that moment, like I was confident. Like I was really confident because like I knew like this was my moment. Like this was my moment to do it. And when I got the ball, I got the switch,
Yeah.
like I knew it was going in. It just was all about creating that angle because when somebody's 6'11" or 6'10", is that much of a height difference. You can't just pull up on them. You have to create an angle. So for me, it was about getting that space and creating an angle, and then the rest just took care of itself.
Then I think when you made that shot, it was like 9 seconds left. What was the plan on defense after that? Because I know Guillermo blocked the shot, and you guys had to keep him out, and they got a wide open three-pointer. They missed it. Then I think it was Tolu Smith, their best player, missed a point-blank layup, basically. I thought that was going in. I don't know how it still didn't go in. So what was kind of like the defensive game plan there
Yeah, I
and the
think
reaction after
really
the game was
when
over?
we got in that huddle, because after I made the shot, it was a timeout. They called a timeout. And really, we just started going over tendencies. Like in those crucial moments, like you just have to remind each other of like tendencies and the foul counts and like how communication is of the utmost importance. It wasn't necessarily like a defensive scheme that we did. It was more it was more so us like understanding like the assignment, understanding the magnitude of this moment, understanding their tendencies and who can do what and where the ball was positioned. Like it was positioned on the baseline. So we didn't want their star forward or he might have been their center to get the ball. Like we didn't want any
Yeah.
post entries out off the baseline out of bounds. So that was like the biggest thing, like just understand the tendencies, understanding where the ball is, understanding if we could foul, if we can't. And I'm not gonna say lucky, but they missed and we was able to live to see another day.
So let's talk about the next game against Iowa State. Iowa State, the Big 12 was like the big time conference that year. They had a lot of entries in the tournament, very deep conference. Iowa State was the sixth seed. What was your guys' thoughts going into that game playing such a
Yeah, I
really good
mean,
team
I
like
played
Iowa
in the Big
State?
12 a little bit, so I knew the physicality would be there. So our biggest thing was just matching that physicality. Like we were very confident playing in the ACC and our offensive firepower that we possessed. So it really was just about matching their physicality. Like, a lot of it is us throwing the first punch, us being the initiators. I feel like we did that. It wasn't a high scoring game because it was a slugfest. Like I said, they're physical. They play defense, but we was able to match it and just make a few more shots.
I mean, you guys made the first punch and they never recovered after that. I mean, Iowa State, they scored 41 points. Like, how did you guys do that? It
Yeah,
was like, I
really
was
just the
shocked.
passion and then the energy that we were able to get. Like the twins came in, gave us energy. Like it was just a collective effort. And also we were in Greensboro where we had a little crowd there too that gave us energy too. I think all of those factors come into play, while we were so passionate out there and while we were, buckling down.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just a special season. I had that poster up there for a reason. Like maybe my favorite team of all time. That's so you. We talked about your clutchness, but like you are literally one of the clutchest players in Pitt basketball history. I would say either you or Levance Fields. Like, how'd you become so
And
clutch?
it's probably a lot of times like growing up, being in the driveway and 3, 2, 1 is when you want it and you're okay with the consequences of not making it. That in those moments, you could take it and take the shot, and it's going to be what it's going to be. And a few times I made it. I ain't gonna say more times than not, but a few times that I, took a shot towards the end of the game, I was fortunate enough for it to go in.
Yeah. Um, So I know in your I try to follow all you guys when you're playing overseas. I know you started like people started calling you the mid-range guru, and I knew that a long time ago in your first season. Your mid-range shot is just automatic in the 2 years at Pitt. When did you like fall in love with the mid-range
Well,
shot and this
honestly,
like
I would
became your
say like I
shot?
always loved the mid-range shots. Even like when I was growing up, I was watching Paul Pierce and I liked the step back that he had, so I wanted to steal that. And like just the players that I watched kind of had that mid-range game. And then like I watched Russell Westbrook because I was a big fan of him in high school do the transition pull-ups. So then that's when I was like, okay, I can do that because if I got people backpedaling, if I could make this at a high clip, it's really unguardable. So then I just started just honing in on that. I started continuing to follow players that I liked that was really good in the mid range, the Kawhi Leonards, the DeMar DeRozans, just studying the footwork and stuff. And then
Yeah.
as I was able to get more and more minutes and more opportunities in college, I was able to show that. And it's just a good balance between driving, pulling up from mid range, and being able to knock down an occasional three. It just keeps the defense off balance. And for me, I felt like the mid range shot is just a shot that you can make at a very high percentage. And that's the thing. I wanted to be an efficient shooter, an efficient scorer. And that's why I really love the mid range. And I'm excited about this playoffs that we've been watching because, some of those guys like SGA, they're getting praise for the mid range and it's not a lost art.
No, it really it kinda makes me mad when people say, like, "Oh, mid-range is, like, some analytical crap." I'm
Right.
like, "The mid-range, every star player has one." I think it's the most, like, gifted shot in the game. I love watching a good mid-range shot, and I love when you took mid-range. It was automatic. It was super fun to watch, so I get, like, pissed off when people like I think it's the most gifted shot, and if you have a good mid-range shot, it's
Yeah, it's
unstoppable,
it's
like you were just
unstoppable. It's
saying.
you could do so much. You could shoot it any kind of way. Like it just unlocks your game.
Yeah. So I remember in the first season, I made a meme. I put you and LeBron because I thought you guys looked pretty similar. I think the team kind of caught
You
on to
know
that. Do
what?
you think
I'm
you look
not
like
going to say
LeBron?
that, but I get that too much. Like this kid, I was just like working out these little kids the other day, and this little kid, I'm doing the drill and stuff, and then he just comes out of the line and comes up to me and be like, "You look like LeBron," and then runs back to the line. And then another day, like a dad was like, "You look like LeBron." I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" But I really think it's the beard, and I'm gonna just say it's the beard.
That's funny. So from that season, there's so many pictures of you just getting so fired up, and like everyone's sharing on Twitter, and these big heated moments, these big basketball games. How hard is it to keep your
Yeah, it's
emotions
really
and stay
hard. Like,
focused?
I don't know, it's a lot that go into to play, like, when you're out there on the floor. It's the things that are going on in your head, it's your teammates, it's the opponents, it's the coaches. But, like, I don't know, for me, this even killness, like, where I didn't get too upset or too high or too low. And the moments I was passionate, it was really just to ignite the group around me. You know what I mean? Like that's really where it came from for me. Like I just want to win and win badly. And the moments that I was captured was that.
So yeah, we talked about Marshall, we talked about Beard. Let's talk about Coach Capel. How did Coach Capel differ from any coaches you've played for, and do you have confidence in him turning
Yeah, I would
next season
say I
around?
am very confident in him turning the next season around. I feel like he's one of the best coaches I ever played for. Like the level of confidence that he instills in his players is like it has been unmatched from anywhere or anybody that I've met. Like he's so inviting. He doesn't change. Like if you have a good game or a bad game, he's going to continue to push you, continue to give you confidence. And that was the biggest thing for me. And I feel like with all the players that, is coming in this year, hopefully they can take in that. They can receive that confidence and fully appreciate it. Fully appreciate that him and the staff is fully behind you and take advantage of it. Some of it I feel like with team success is both the coaches and the players. The players have to do their part as well. Foster those relationships. Be selfless. Be genuine. And I feel like if you have those traits, also be loving. If you have all of those traits in addition to the skill in basketball, you're going to be a really good team. I feel like that's what our group had. Those little traits of love, of being genuine, of being selfless. All of those things is what contributed to us being successful. And I feel like if this next group that comes in has that in addition to the work ethic on the court, in addition to listening and receiving, criticism, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited for the team next year. I think he's building something special. And so, in your basketball career, what we talked about this whole podcast, you've had a lot of adversity with injuries, three different schools. Each school you had a different role. Did all this stuff help you shape you as the person you are today and become really
Yes.
resilient, mentally and
I
physically
want to share
strong?
one thing. I was reading an article yesterday and it was something that was written up about me in high school. And one thing that I said that I took from a motivational speaker back then, and I used it back then, one thing that I took was in life, there are God ordained opportunities brilliantly disguised as problems. And like, I feel like when you hit these adversities, these trials and tribulations of life, instead of looking at it in a negative way, look at it as a God ordained opportunity. And I've had to do that. And I've had to continue to remind myself of that in times where it looks like the storm is blowing. I can't see one foot in front of the other. But that's one thing that I would say. Like if people took that, they can do anything.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful where everyone can apply that to their lives to be resilient, embrace the challenge, and do find yourself in life. So last thing I'm gonna ask, you are captain. You were the guy the last year. You made first team All ACC. You got Pitt to the dance the first time in 7 years. Like, how much did that season mean
Yeah,
to you finally
it meant the
finding a
world
home
to
at
me.
Pitt?
Like to be able to do it on a collegiate level, because I kind of did it in high school, but to be able to replicate it again at a collegiate level, to be able to build relationships and create an impact and help foster a culture that continues to live on is amazing. Like I couldn't ask for anything more.
That's all I got. This was an amazing conversation. I learned a ton. I just hope you get healthy. You go back on the hardwood where you belong, and you keep being JB, knocking down those mid-range shots, being the leader, leading teams to victory. It was great talking to you. I think a lot of Pitt fans wanted to hear from you as well. So this
No,
was
thank you
awesome.
for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much
I
for coming
appreciate
on.
you, just being a Pitt ambassador. You're more than a fan. You believe in this program. You push this program, and I appreciate it, man.